You know, if they're
we would do it. We would do it.
Yeah, I know
I've already made plans. I have an evacuation route myself. It is to a actual emerald mine near here, and there's also a gold mine that I can go to that's within reasonable range if I had to make it to it. I mean, would it help me? I don't know, but it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, but I just keep thinking about the remake War of the Worlds, and, you know, I don't know. It scares me. But, you know, again, I'm going to say this, what Ronald Reagan said to me. Again, it took years and years and years, and then it hit me what he said. What he told me is that Star Wars had another plan to it, evidently. It wasn't just if it would have been built, or has it been built, or part of it been built. It wasn't just to protect us against missiles coming from the Soviet Union. It sounded like it was maybe a twofold thing.
Absolutely, and I think it has been built. I have no super evidence to support that idea, but we do seem to have circumstantial evidence for the idea that it may have been built and that is actually in operation already. And it may not just be us, it may be international. It may even include the Soviet Union, I don't know. There would be a good reason for that. If we had a secret space force already in space, why would you not tell the public? Why would you say that we're not working with the Russia of today, not Soviet Union anymore? And the reason would be because you wouldn't want them, as Ronald Reagan referred to you about them to know, so that it would have to be kept secret under those circumstances. I wrote an article about that recently, and there is rather reasonable evidence. I'm not saying it's convincing. I'm not saying that it's complete. But there is evidence to suppose that we might have a secret space force. There's enough people have been talking about it and claiming it's true.
I think there is, and I think it has been for a while. I think what we see technology-wise in our fighters, our bombers, whatever we have, is not what the state of the art. In other words, that's what they want us to see. I think there is a generation of whatever weapons and craft far above our capability even to digest it. That is my feeling. My feeling is, though, again, I don't think that if the government actually, if they knew, and if we knew that they were aliens here that were hostile towards humans, didn't want us on our planet, that maybe wanted our planet, and has a agenda to do it over a certain period of time, or we simply just taste good with barbecue sauce, I think people would, if they came out and said that much, people would not be able to digest it. To know that you got children, grandchildren, all this, you family members that you can't protect, that your police department can't protect, your military, your National Guard, nobody can protect you. That would be scary. It's like you're remember when they had the draft and they called out a certain number and that let you know if you're going to be going in the military or not. I remember that.
The lottery, that was part of it.
Yeah.
That was number 98. I never forgot that.
Yeah, I joined the crowd. And all I can say is that I think as a human, myself, interviewing people for years, I just don't think people could comprehend it if they knew the whole truth. And I think that's why when I get a certain guess on a certain subject, something happens. That's just my feeling.
Well, it may not be that the government is totally powerless. It may be that it's trying to buy time to increase its own technology to the point where we can fight them. Remember, U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Stephen L. Quast just recently, a few weeks ago, said that, or at least he strongly implied, not just once but several times during his lecture at the United States military organization, that the military-industrial complex had actually achieved so-called next-generation technologies. His point was that we already had, he implied strongly that we had a capability far beyond what the public was aware of. Now, this goes along with the idea of a space force. It could be that Trump is merely putting a stamp on what already exists. Is that true? I don't know. But again, the evidence is intriguing, and it does make you wonder what's going on. And if that's the case, then NASA is not our main space agency. It's just a front to pretend that this is where we are in our development, which is basically where the other countries in the world are right now as well. But there must be reasons why we haven't gone back to the moon. And now NASA is claiming they might have to delay the return to the moon yet further because of budget constraints. Always there seems to be some reason why we don't go back to the moon.
But we can talk about going to Mars, which is ludicrous and asinine of anything you could ever think about. But here's the thing. I seriously think this. Even if our technology is advancing, if there is aliens, they are so far advanced. Even our technology, even if it advances, I think their technology is probably advancing too. And if they're way ahead of us, I think we got a load of problems coming down the road. That's what I think.
Well, that's true, but by the same token, do remember something. We're desperate. If our government knows they exist and knows their technology is so advanced, then we're doing everything in our power through crashed alien UFOs or whatever to try to catch up. And in the meantime, you're trying to keep a lid on the situation, on the pressure cooker. I think that lid is beginning to bubble over now at this point. But, I mean, we do have evidence through Gary McKinnon that there might be a space force. We have evidence through Stephen Barone that there might be a space force. We have evidence through that Lieutenant General, that Quast, that is far more advanced than we realize. But you would have to hide it, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want them to know. So you'd have to keep up a front. NASA might be the front. So we might be struggling like crazy to catch up so that we can defend ourselves. I mean, seriously, if you were an advanced civilization and you attacked a weaker one, but you did it slowly or you did it under terms, and by the way, the British did this in India. They didn't just run in and conquer India. They made alliances with different kingdoms in India, different princes, and they did this to attack another one, and then they would do it again and again until they finally contained all of or gained all of India. Now, the aliens could be doing this as well, and we could be fighting this tooth and nail. But if you were the government and you felt powerless, what would you do? Well, you'd try to gain a means of power. And you might try to do that surreptitiously, and you might want to do it publicly, and you might want to publicly make it look like you're not advancing as fast as you already have. Again, this Lieutenant General seems to say that we are that advanced or getting that advanced. Now, are we as advanced as the aliens? Probably not. But we might be to the point where we could put up a good fight. I mean, do the aliens want a devastated planet, a nuclear holocaust, or wasteland? Probably not. If they did, they would have done it themselves. Okay. If they thought of us as a threat, they would have already used that technology before we had it.
Well, maybe they're using their technology by speeding up global warming. Antarctica, the North Pole, South Pole, Greenland. It's melting faster and faster. What's going to happen to our sea levels?
Actually, I don't doubt that greenhouse effect is going on, the climate change is going on. I think it's absolutely there. I'm not sure I can blame alien species for it.
No, but they could be helped speed it up.
If you look at the record of it, the rise in CO2 of the Industrial Revolution directly corresponds to the greenhouse effect. So we may be doing it to ourselves. I mean, yes, are the aliens SOBs? Quite probably. Are they out with an agenda we don't know about, which is detrimental to us? Quite probably. But that doesn't mean that we aren't ourselves doing ourselves damage in the process.
Well, if they were here to help us, they would be certainly doing something about it. They aren't doing anything to help us. They're not doing anything.
No, they're not helping us. They're not our space brothers. I'm convinced of that.
Well, me and James were talking about people that claimed they were abducted, came back from their abduction, and now their cancer was cured. Well, I don't think the aliens cured their cancer. Maybe, like James said, they were on a craft that emitted a certain type of radiation that maybe cured them. Maybe their experiment they did with the person, accidentally cured their cancer, or maybe their cancer went into remission on its own. Rob, our time is up, and it goes so fast.
Yeah,
what books do you have that our audience would be? Well, name about 4 or 5 of them that you think that the listenership would be interested in. Now,
sure, there's one called Ancient Alien Empire, Megalithia. There's Deadly UFOs and the Disappeared. There's Invader Moon. There's Darker Side of the Moon. Actually, there's quite a few. They can find them all on Amazon Kindle. They can get them in print version or Kindle version, or they can get them in other ebook formats if they like. They can go to my website, robshelsky.blogspot.com. But, I think the simplest way is simply to Google me or simply to go to Amazon and type in my last name, and they'll find me.
Oh, yeah. Like always, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and maybe in the next month or two we'll get you on and we'll talk about one of your other books. Because I'll tell you what, you're compared to a lot of guests I have on, I can honestly tell you that you're very knowledgeable.
Well, thank you very much, sir, and I find your show very intriguing and interesting, and you and James seem to have a lot of opinions, and by the way, you have helped me along with my research as well. I like to listen to informed people and find out what's going on.
Well, thank you.
Always a pleasure, Rob.
Thank you, James.
Okay, Rob. Well, you have a great week that's coming up.
You too, and thanks again for letting me be on the show.
Okay, my friend. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night. Well, James, guess what? Our show is almost up here for tonight. It went by, again, really, really fast.
I'm telling you, it always does. Rob's always good. I enjoy when he comes on because he's always very insightful, and he's not closed-minded about this issue, so it's always very informative.
Well, some people are, and that's the point. How can I say it? I mean, we don't know what is going on, do we? We don't really know. But you get these certain group of people on here. The aliens are here to serve mankind. They're here to be our space buddies. They're here to give us long life and technology. But then if they're doing this, where are the people going? Why are people getting their mouth open and their alien arms and hands going down their throat and trying to come out their nostril or their ears? I mean, come on. Why are they being implanted? Why are we having cattle mutilation? They're not our friends. I can honestly tell you that.
No, you know my opinion. I don't think they're our friends either. And all these people that say that, well, it's because they don't want to interfere. Well, if they don't want to interfere, then why are they abducting us? Isn't that interfering?
I think it is. Now, tomorrow on the show, we have Ron Fitzgerald. Now, he's a world-renowned horror actor. He's been in a lot of horror movies, and he's a Gothic magician, well known for his style of tricks like you wouldn't believe, like putting a girl in a coffin, setting it on fire, all kinds of stuff. I mean, Ron Fitzgerald has been on the show before. He's always interesting guest, and he hasn't been on for about 5-6 months. I'm glad to have him back on tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's been a while since he's been on. Yeah, he's a very world-renowned magician. Like you said, Gothic kind of vampire horror movie kind of stuff, and it's going to be good. He's always good.
He is. Now, go to the website, people, and go to www.nightdreamstalkradio.com or just type in Night Dreams Talk Radio and go to the website. We are doing all through January a donation drive. Oh, yeah, he wants money from me. No, most shows out there charge you for all the past shows. We have over 640 some hours of past shows you can listen to for free. But, I have a lot of costs. Radio stations don't pay us to carry the show. And we do have some advertising on the radio stations. I'm trying to keep advertising free off the internet. In other words, on the internet side, you don't get stuck with the commercials. But I need a little help, to help pay for the bandwidth. So if you can donate $1 or $2, you can go onto our website, click the donation button. It takes you to PayPal. Donate $1 or $2. We're not going to buy coffee with it. We're going to help pay for the bandwidth. But, this show is important. And the guests we bring you are just the same quality guests you're going to find on any of those other shows. In some cases, we get them before they do. We try to bring you the very best in the paranormal. And a lot of people go, wow, you cover UFOs and aliens and abductions more than they do. Yeah, we do, because it's a subject that you want to hear. So we're covering that more than talking about ghost hunting or cryptics and stuff. We do cover those. But we're trying to bring you the guest that you want to hear. Now, also coming up on, I think, the 12th or something, not the 12th. Yeah, 12th, we have Dr. Wood coming on. He's with MUFON out of Southern California. He's going to be talking about reports of UFOs. We got another guest coming on the first week of February.